Well, I want to welcome you back to my blog, and it's going at a pretty rapid pace here at the Capitol. We're finishing up the committee work in both the House and the Senate. Still trying to get my 4 bills that I sent over to the Senate heard and passed out and go to the floor. Been having some pretty good success where a couple of them have made it out. But I'm also serving as the House author for 5 Senate bills. It's the way the system works out. Each body has a person who is the author that will basically shepherd the bill through the system. So you have the author in the original body is the one, it's their idea, their baby, they're the ones that work on it. And then they have to find someone over in the other body who will carry that for them while it's in that legislative body. So with the 5 Senate bills I'm working on, the first one is Senate Bill 40, which is authored by Tom Ivester. One of my colleagues, I overlap the area with him in Caddo County. This legislation would allow certain exemptions in the wildlife passport to allow for individuals with special events to have the waiver for the fee that's charged for that wildlife passport. So this is going to allow several different organizations to not have to worry about paying that fee, and will go to the benefit of helping those special events occur out in the areas that we represent and around rural Oklahoma. Now, Senate Bill 80 is the next bill I'm working on that came over from the Senate. Brian Crane, a Republican from Tulsa, authored this piece of legislation. It would allow county election board secretaries to begin counting the absentee ballots that come in early. And those would either be from the weekend and the Monday from those individuals who vote at the county election board, or the ones that come in through the mail. The reason for that is there's a lot of work that's going on election night by the county election board, and this would allow them to get a little of that work done early and then focus on those precincts as they come in from the county. That would still have to remain confidential. None of that information could be leaked early, as it could influence the outcome of the election. So hopefully this will help them get their job done a little bit more quickly. Now, the next bill I'm carrying is Senate Bill 276, authored by Randy Bass. And Randy is a colleague of mine from the Lawton area. It would allow those individuals who are physically incapacitated, right now they can send in a request for a ballot, whether it would go through the mail or through a fax or another type of system where it's submitted. This would allow an individual to also carry in that request, and it has parameters established where the individual has to be at least 16 years old, and the individual cannot be related to either the candidate or an employee of the campaign within 3 degrees, and they can only serve as the agent for one individual. So one person could represent one other person. Hopefully this will help those who are physically incapacitated still have greater opportunity to get their ballot in and allow an individual to assist them. So obviously it would help people in the hospitals, individuals who are in nursing homes, and people who are somehow incapacitated in another way. Now, Senate Bill 277 is also authored by Randy Bass, and both these bills will be heard in the Rules Committee this week that Randy has asked me to carry. This would allow for individuals who want to go in and assist the election boards on election day to have that opportunity. Right now, it's only the individuals who are basically hired to run the polls on election day can work at the polls. This would allow each of the county election board secretaries to ask for help and have individuals come in and serve as volunteers, so unpaid volunteers, and they could assist the goings-on at the polling place on election day. As you know, we've had a lot of lines over the last few years with people having to wait quite a long time to get the opportunity to cast their ballot. So this would allow for volunteers to come in and help. Now, these volunteers could not influence the voters in any way. They would have to be completely impartial, and they could not direct an individual, tell them vote for a certain party or vote for a certain individual or vote for a certain question. They have to remain completely neutral, just like the employees are supposed to do at the polling place. So this would hopefully reduce the amount of time individuals will wait to vote. Now, my next piece of legislation, Senate Bill 877, authored by Senator Greg Treat, a Republican from Oklahoma City. Used to be a former House staffer, so he and I have had some pretty good times over the years working for the legislators. Greg has filed a piece of legislation to allow for the grade point average for individuals who are applying through this waiver that allows people from a specific employment or through the military to be able to qualify to serve as teachers in special needs areas where we need a greater amount of teachers. Math, science, foreign languages, people that have a background and expertise in that. Their college degree, their grade point average, would not count against them for qualifying to serve as a teacher. They still have to go through the same rigorous standards to serve as the teacher before they get their teaching degree, but it would allow people with a special background that would have that experience to be able to serve in the classroom, and that grade point won't count against them. And speaking as someone who had a lower grade point average in my degree than overall grade point, I think that would certainly help in certain instances. Now, everybody would still have to pass all the rest of the qualifications, but hopefully this will help us fill that shortage in specific areas where we need teachers all around the state. Now, I want to give a shout out finally here at the end to the group that came up here with the Youth and Government program. We had the 7th and 8th grade program meet at the state capitol on Friday, Good Friday, and it certainly was a Good Friday for the Grady County delegation. We had several students up here, and one of our own won the best delegate. Each of them presented fantastic legislation, and I'm certainly proud of the efforts those kids made. We had almost 80 kids from around the state participating. Now, because I was here, that meant I had to miss the veterans event at Fort Sill that honored our Vietnam vets, finally having a welcome home ceremony for them. I'll tell you, I spoke to General McDonald, and he said that it was a fantastic event. I was heartbroken I couldn't be there, especially with my brother-in-law James, been a Vietnam vet, and us talking about the way they were treated over the years, and it was certainly long overdue that we recognize those individuals for their contributions to our country. And I know it meant a lot to the men who were there, and the men and women who were present, and we need to certainly do more of that. I know we're getting a lot better in our country about the way we treat veterans and honor the military, but I'll tell you, with those Vietnam vets, that was long overdue. So many thanks to General McDonald at Fort Sill and all the work that they're doing out there. And I will keep you posted on things that are coming up here at the Capitol. I think it's going to be a long few weeks as we finish the second deadline and we get closer to the time when we start working on the appropriations. By law, we were supposed to fund education first on April 1st, and this is about the 8th, 9th year in a row where we're not able to achieve that. Now, honestly, I think that that is something that needs to be looked at. There was a bill to remove that completely, but I personally think that we should have a budget session one session and a policy session the next session to reduce a lot of the bills that go through the system and put more thought into it. But that's just one legislator's opinion, and we'll see how that goes. Thank you again for tuning into my blog, and look forward to seeing you next week.